All right, guys, hi. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Dorothy, your professional astrologer. So I want to talk about January for the month, but before I do that, I just want to let you know, if you haven't signed up for my email list, amongst the new people who go to my website, nhastrologer.com, and join my email list for my newsletter, of the new people who do that, I am picking 3 people every month for a 20-minute session free with me. So go to nhastrologer.com and sign up there if you would like to be part of that. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I put up lots of videos every single month and you are notified when they are up. So let's get started. I want to talk about, for this month, 3 things, because otherwise these videos just get way too long. So I have 3 things that I've chosen out of the month, and there's always a ton more that I want to talk to you guys about in the general sense. So I'm going to give you that general information right now. And the second piece of each video will be where these things are going on and influencing you for each of your zodiac signs. I also like to pull an oracle card or 2. I might just do that too for each sign for the month of January. All right, so let me get started with what's going on here. So I got my notes in front of me. It's a big whiteboard. See? Talking about being authentic. Very important to be authentic right now. It's always important to be our true selves anyways. This is me. I'm not going to be anybody I'm not. When we live in our own authenticity, we live true to ourselves, you know, the energy, life just flows a whole lot better. And I know that just my own life experience has proven that to myself. So one of the first things I'm going to talk about, I'll tell you really quick. Mercury retrograde, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Jupiter retrograde and as it makes its conjunction to the North Node, the lunar node, on the day it goes retrograde. And then if I'm not running too long, I'm going to talk about Venus and Sag. Okay, so Mercury. Mercury's retrograde January 7th all the way through January 26th. Now, it starts its retrograde motion in the sign of Aquarius. It will only be at 0 degrees of Aquarius, but it will be at that degree for a whole week. And so we're getting to start off a retrograde. Retrogrades, you know, the day that, especially Mercury or any planet, truly, when they go retrograde, the day that they're retrograde, and even the day that they're direct, they're at a standstill from our perspective here on this planet. And you know, the energy of that just means that what it means is nothing's moving. Nothing will move. It's stopped. It's like us when we're in our car. You know, there's that dead stop before we go the next direction. So Mercury tends to be very free-flowing, great for gathering information. It's very lighthearted, very easy, kind of like the butterfly, because we're describing, you know, Mercury in its natural rulership of Gemini. Now, with it in Aquarius, as it goes retrograde, again being in 1 degree for a whole week as opposed to a single day like it usually is, lots of communication issues are just going to go hit a standstill. And whether this means that, whether it's communication and, you know, phones just go bad, computers go haywire for a little bit, or if we look at the other aspect of Mercury, transportation and movement. So wherever you live, there could be some weather. You know, I live in the northern hemisphere, so I'm looking at, you know, probably some bad weather that week, just that will keep us home a little more so we're not moving out and about as much, okay? So don't take this as the end of the world by any means, but there will definitely take this whole week, especially the first week of January, it'll take a little while for us to get rolling on what this Mercury energy is really wanting to produce. It's not going to produce much in Aquarius. What it will do when it moves into the sign of Capricorn, somewhere around the 10th, once it moves into the sign of Capricorn, like 29 degrees, 28, it's backing all the way up to 14 degrees of Capricorn, which is where those cardinal planets have been, you know, right around 13, 14, 15 degrees for months and years on end, right? And that tells me that we got some more cardinal cross, cardinal T-square things happening, and this is the case. So later in the month, this will take a little while, but on January 20th, Mercury makes a square aspect to Uranus, and then on the 22nd and the 30th, it conjuncts Pluto. Now, it conjuncts Pluto as a retrograde planet on the 22nd and as a direct planet on the 30th. So what do these two things mean? And I'm going to get to where it is for each of the signs in just a second, so hang on. With Mercury making a square aspect to Uranus, this is communication, especially as a retrograde planet. You know, there's just going to be, we're going to be getting weird emails, we're going to be getting weird messages, we're going to be getting stuff that is just through the roof very different. Now, Aquarius and Uranus rules Aquarius. Since Mercury started its retrograde in that sign, and the planet that is the ruler of gets an aspect from Mercury, you know, we're going to, you know, we feel like we need to move and we need to do something. This could be a pretty tricky retrograde this time around. If you have electronics, this is one of the times, because Aquarius rules those things. I would recommend before we go retrograde, so you're going to hear this ahead of time because I have it up in December. For those of you lucky enough to see it ahead of time, definitely back up your electronics and keep an eye on them. You know, fix things, renew things, do what you need to do to keep things in alignment and up to date. And that's really important. And that's that Mercury square Uranus, all right, January 20th. And we're going to feel that a few days on either side of that date, okay? And that's the day that the sun enters Aquarius as well. So I'm telling you, it's going to be an interesting day on January 20th. There's just going to be a lot of rocking and rolling going on. And I'll be there to see it too. We'll let each of us know how that happens. Fill me in when you get a chance, if you like. Then on the 22nd and on the 30th, when Mercury does make this conjunction to Pluto, you know, whatever we were doing that went through a major shakeup or just, you know, amazing news. I mean, this can even be amazing news. Don't take shakeups as something that's negative all the time, you know, with that Uranus energy. On the 22nd, when it does conjunct Pluto, there could be a very deep transformation. It's like, okay, so I have this new information. What do I do with it now? All right, what do I do with it now? And this is how we look at it. And on the 22nd, all the way through the 30th, Mercury will just be in conjunction with Pluto that whole time, within a few degrees either side. And so we are changing and transforming how we see things and how we feel about something and how we're presenting that out in our immediate environment. Because Mercury is in charge of the immediate environment as well as the communication piece that everybody speaks about. So if you don't know enough about Mercury, go search it out and you'll get lots of good information about that. So next step is what is going on in what house. So, and the houses will be representative of your zodiac sign. So that is next. Okay, Pisces, this one is for you. Now, all of the information I just gave you on that Mercury in Capricorn retrograde and all that stuff. Actually, Mercury retrograde is, by the way, January 5th. I didn't mention that before. And all of this comes out of your solar 11th house. So take all the information I just gave you. And if you don't remember already, rewind and go take notes. This comes out of the solar 11th house for you. So this is the additional information about Mercury in Capricorn and retrograde. This is the area of your chart that is about friends and the groups that you're interested in, the groups that you're part of, and the causes that you have interest in. So you may be losing some friends right now because they're just dismissing themselves, or they're just, you don't hear from them anymore. That happens, especially with the retrograde going on in the 11th house. Or you may start to find, you may have committed to too many groups or to too many friends, and you have to back off a little bit. That's the additional energy that this will play out for you guys for the month of January. All right? Pluto's been moving through there forever, so there is no new information on that one. But with Mercury going through there, that's what you get. Now, moving on to Jupiter. Jupiter will be retrograde on January 7th. On that day, when it's stationary and retrograde, it's also with the North Node. And the lunar North Node is just it's a place in the solar system where we have the eclipse, and you know, it's the ecliptic, where the sun and the moon and the earth all line up and it creates the eclipse. That point is what the node is. And that moves, and since the eclipses that we had in September, that's what set it up. And that was at 20 Virgo. With this Jupiter and North Node, especially the reason it's important right now is because Jupiter's stationing there. And while it stations there before it goes retrograde, you know, it's creating a lot of attention in that area of the zodiac belt. And so this is going on in your solar seventh house. I had to look at my notes. And while that's going on in your solar seventh house, this means relationships and partnerships are going through some type of adjustment or expansion. And this is good, you know, whether you're just dating and you're taking it to the next level by getting married, or just becoming more serious, or living together. But another piece with the North Node moving through there, and that's where the eclipse was in September, this is highlighted. The relationships and partnerships in your life are highlighted now. When Jupiter goes retrograde, it's not about expanding anymore. It's about, you know, just slowing down and pulling within and just spending time with what we have. It's like making soup. If you keep adding too much stuff, eventually it's going to be stew. There's not going to be any liquid left, right? So we're going to stop and we're going to let things simmer for a while. And that's what the retrograde is. Now with the component, the spiritual component of Jupiter, and that spiritual component of the life path of that North Node, especially as a transit, you know, we're looking towards taking your relationships, you know, feeling that soulmate relationship connection with people. And whether that soulmate relationship is comfortable or not is irrelevant. It's just there is a connection, a spiritual connection with people that you can create at this point with this transit. And those two will be together all the way through June at least. And so this isn't new, this is just when it begins, okay? So all those new spiritual, metaphysical relationships and connections that you've made over the last 6 months of 2015, you know, there's a highlight of it here in January, and then they will continue on through next year, 2016. All right, moving on to Venus in Sag. So Venus is in Sagittarius, so that takes relationships again. There's another thing with relationships, and we're looking at them being fun, adventurous. If they aren't, you're going to be adding some spice into your relationship, or that relationship, you just, you know, lose interest in it, and you'll go find something else, all right? But in the middle of January, we do have Venus conjunct Saturn in Sag. Saturn's been in Sag for a little while. That creates a little bit of shyness. It can create the need for commitment, or we're afraid of committing. And all of this goes on in your 10th house. So what does that mean? To me, that means that there could be some type of, not expansion. Well, kind of, yeah, actually, because Sag is about expansion and Saturn is about contractions. So Saturn's been moving through your career sector for a little while, and with Venus in there, it just means that hard work is paying off. Hard work is paying off now, all right? And in those one-to-one relationships that you have at work, whether it's with the boss or you're the boss, hard work is paying off for you now, and you know, you can feel comfortable and secure. All right, and that's where that comes from, and that's actually a pretty decent place, especially if you've been working hard and not cutting corners, all right? If you've been cutting corners, then Saturn is just going to notice it and not be happy with you, but that's not a big problem at this point in time. You will just have to work a little harder to get where you want to go if you were kind of being lazy before, all right? Now, solar plexus, I picked a couple cards. The solar plexus card came up, of course, right there at the sternum. That's where the solar plexus is. That's where we want to trust our gut instincts. It's yellow. If you're feeling like you're not trusting your gut instincts, then, you know, get this color and wear it, all right? Hopefully you can see it better. Get that color and wear it, and that will help you feel strong and secure and able to really trust that gut instinct that we all should have. And if you're feeling your stomach's upset, then that means you're overanalyzing things. The stomach's kind of right in there too, right? So if that's feeling upset, then you're overanalyzing things and you're not trusting your gut. Trust your gut. And the other card that came up is Archangel Michael, and it's about balance. He has all four elements there: air, earth, fire, and water. And that is Archangel Michael. And the balance card comes up. And that balancing is definitely what we're looking for, especially with Saturn and Venus in, no, they're in the 7th house, the 10th house. Especially with, there we go, Jupiter, for you guys, Pisces, especially with Jupiter and that North Node in the relationship sector. And the balance card comes up, being Libra's card, 7th house, looking for that balance, making sure that if you have, you know, in your relationships, they have a physical component to them by interacting, as we always do on a very human level, but also a spiritual component that goes with it. So there's some good stuff right there. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. Come to my website, nhastrologer.com. You can get your own personal private session, get way more information than you have here. I teach classes online, so my website has that list. It's always increasing. I only have a couple things up right now, but it's always increasing. And I have a mentorship program that I just started in December, and wherever you start, it's a 6-month program, and I only have 8 slots for every 6 months. So I already have 1 slot full. So if you're interested, let me know, and through my website. Thank you. So please share with your friends and family. Subscribe to this channel. If you feel like donating, donate. I don't care. Well, I do care. That's fine. Why do I say that? I don't know. I am tired and I want to be done now. Thank you very much for listening. And you got to see a piece that I didn't cut out. All right. Blessings. Namaste.